Chrollo entered Hunter x Hunter, basked in darkness while reading, waiting for his phantom troop to arrive. And what's fascinating is the 3 windows in front of him, almost hinting at the 3 stages of his life by Togashi: his tragic past, his melancholy present, and his uncertain future. As the troop arrives and asks him what's their next mission, he is revealed, stepping out of the shadows with a cross over his forehead and one on his jacket. A cross, I learned, called St. Peter's Cross, which is an upside-down crucifixion done to St. Peter, who felt unworthy of being in the same position as Jesus. Which is funny, since Chrollo doesn't believe he is worthy of being alive. And the Phantom Troop also has 12 members, or 12 apostles, who are loyal to Chrollo, with one obvious Judas in Hisoka, highlighting how much symbolism Togashi put in his religious undertones. You see, he's presented as the savior of the troop, who willingly sacrifices his own happiness and peace for them, as Jesus did for humanity. And his first mission for them is to steal everything at the large mafia auction in York New and kill anyone who gets in their way. Now when they fail, and Uvo mentions they have a Judas, funny enough, Chrollo says something very fascinating.
No, there isn't a traitor. And if you ask me, Judas was nothing of the sort. It's said that Judas betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver. But to betray all of us, what would one ask of the Mafia?
Almost as if Chrollo is saying that human acts like deception are just standard. They aren't bad in his perspective. And also that money, prestige, and glory are all pointless to the troop. So them having a traitor makes little sense, although Hisoka was the obvious traitor, this psychopathic intelligent clown. And when I came to realize, rewatching the story and studying his characters, that he treats these jobs like a reunion. He doesn't want anything ever from them. If anything, it's a way to keep the troop members in touch, like a rob and kill everybody Thanksgiving. It keeps their bond strong through a common goal. And his love for his family, that is the Phantom Troop, is shown the moment when Kurapika kills Uvo.
どこにいる? After being told this, Chrollo's entire demeanor changes. There's a seriousness in the air around him. And being extremely cautious of more threats to the troop, he goes to find Neon Lestrade, who has a fortune-telling Nen ability. Because he would convince himself if he could steal this ability from her, which is his Nen ability, he could use it to see more threats for the troop. So he has her show it to him while they're at dinner, and as he reads Uvo's fortune and the rest of the troops, he starts to cry. And this baffled me, as Hunter x Hunter was one of my first anime I watched getting back into anime, so seeing a major antagonist introduced in such a dominant way shed genuine tears was jarring. It added more layers to this character for me. And after getting what he needs from Neon and taking her Nen ability, he knocks her out swiftly and then gives the greatest Oscar performance I've ever seen in my life.
なんだと!もしものことがあったらどうすんだあノストラドファミリーの娘さんだぞてめえ責任取れんのかって伝えろ
But she steeled his resolve. He now found a new meaning behind Uvo's death. Let the troop.
大暴れ
Now after Gon and Killua are captured by Chrollo, Gon, being the blunt anime MC he is, asks Chrollo, how can he kill people he doesn't know with such ease? And what he says was very fascinating to me.
なぜだろうな。関係ないからじゃないか。いや、 改めて問われると答えがたいものだな。動機の言語化か。あまり好きじゃないしな。しかし案外、いや、やはりと言うべきか。自分をつかむ鍵はそこにあるか。
It's almost as if a part of himself is buried too deep to see only specks of it in the darkness of his soul. In my opinion, Chrollo seeks to find himself again, find the boy that he buried to be the spider. And even after he is captured by Kurapika, there's no fear in his heart. To him, he is useless to the spider, merely a replaceable head any of them can take. Now, at first, Kurapika doesn't buy into this, but Melody tells us differently because she can hear people's heartbeats and thus understand their emotional states from them.
He's not worried or scared, even of death. He's accepted his destiny. I can hear that he walks with death every single day of his life. He truly believes that he has no real value as a hostage whatsoever.
What are you? What are you people?
The spiders.
What Chrollo doesn't realize is that the troop, or at least half of them, believe the opposite. To them, he is their salvation, and his death is unacceptable. And when deciding to do about Kurapika's demands for Gon and Killua, they all fight against their internal loyalty to Chrollo and their loyalty to the spider. Machi, Pakunodo, Nobunaga, and even Shalnark want to agree to Kurapika's demands and hand over Gon and Killua for Chrollo, but Finks and Phaeton disagree, saying they'd rather kill Kurapika even if it means Chrollo dying, as that is his rules for the spider. It's a very funny dichotomy between loyalties both rooted in following Chrollo's wishes. It perplexes me how someone who views himself as a replaceable head doesn't realize the depth in which the people he leads are devoted to him and his ideals. And even when Chrollo loses to Kurapika at the end of this, he isn't frustrated by it. After being hit with a Nen chain that will kill him instantly if he goes back to the troop, and losing his access to his broken Nen ability, he merely just smiles and looks east like Neon Fortune said. Now Pakunodo, who came here to get Chrollo, was also given a Nen chain on her, that if she revealed Kurapika's abilities or who he was, she would die instantaneously. And now when she goes back to the troop, you'd imagine she would keep her mouth shut and try and find Chrollo through other means, but no, she doesn't. She sacrifices her life for Chrollo's, so that the rest of the members may find him and get him his Nen back. It is one of the most beautiful displays of loyalty and love that illuminates the family of the Phantom Troop and Togashi's brilliant way of writing complex villains. These aren't just mindless people doing things for kicks. They have order, they have respect. Being evil is not their goal. Living life how they please is.
お願い。私で終わりに。僕。
死んでる？どういうこと？
俺が説明する。すべて分かった。
And this goes even past Pakunodo's death when Gon and Killua run into Finks and Phaeton in one of the funniest scenes of the entire anime that I always laugh at when I see it.
なんで奴らがここにいんのさ。知るかよ。
へい、釣れねえな。逃げることねえだろ。
逃げるっつの。
Gon asks Finks, how's Pakunodo? And he says that she died. And you get to see into his mind what he saw through her memories. Because Pakunodo asked them why they didn't just run. She was injured. They have the advantage. They could just leave her and Kurapika could kill Chrollo. And they turned around and told her, we don't want Kurapika to kill. So we will respect this deal. We will give your boss back and no one has to die. And their loyalty to the Kurapika, to saving him from himself, I think definitely impacted Pakunodo because she also wants to save Chrollo from his own darkness. She just can't. all she can do is follow his will and his lead and always be there for him. She can't save him from his own darkness. And seeing these two boys willing to save their own friend from his own darkness probably impacted her heart so deeply that she knew dying was the right choice. This unity Chrollo designed is beautiful and gives such depth to the man he is in the eyes of the people he loves.
僕はお前らに感謝してたぜ。
信じて受け止めてくれる。
Now, the fight between Chrollo and Hisoka is honestly extremely complicated, but one of the best fights in the series. But I want to talk about more is how Togashi revealed Chrollo's philosophy about people and life through this fight. Now, when the fight starts, Chrollo explains all his nen abilities that he had gotten over the past year in order to kill Hisoka. This made no sense to me, because secrecy is the biggest advantage to a nen fight. So letting your opponent know about all the abilities and what they will do is counterintuitive to winning said fight. So Chrollo starts the match by manipulating the ref and sending him after Hisoka. Hisoka immediately kills the ref, understanding what Chrollo just did because he's such a battle genius. After Chrollo makes a copy of the dead ref, he says humans are such a strange, mysterious thing. From how I see it, there's nothing different between a corpse and a puppet. They're both just immobile masses. Highlighting that in his mind, he views human beings not as actual living creatures, just walking corpses that haven't really died yet. As the copy of the dead ref runs after Hisoka, he talks more. He says that ordering a puppet that was copied from a human to kill someone will be influenced by their original personality. They might choose inefficient means, or just intend to kill their target at some point in their life and not right that instant. In the worst case, they froze up and won't acknowledge the order. But by replacing that order with break, it detaches the mind from their body. To dive deep into the darkness within the heart of an ability's previous owner, all while making it completely my own. That is the true thrill of Skill Hunter. In short words saying, Chrollo's nen ability Skill Hunter, its true goal is not just to copy nen abilities. No. It's to enhance the darkest aspects of that nen ability, essentially twisting what its original purpose was and making it even more vicious than the previous owner thought it could be. Chrollo told Hisoka, my victory is 100% certain, and if do you still wish to fight me? They're saying there's no point in killing Hisoka and he should just leave with his life. Hisoka, being a battle-hungry clown he is, says, of course he does. And you get this panel of Chrollo's face that Togashi drew that's very interesting. His eyes are hollowed, they're narrowed, his expression is worn and tired, almost as if he did not expect this, as if he wanted something different from Hisoka. He'd given him all the tools to escape. He showed him, I'm going to kill you. Leave me alone and respect your life. And Hisoka said, fuck that, bring it. And in Chrollo's eyes, in my perspective, this pushed his dread, his despair down even deeper. But if someone who he has given every opportunity to live will not take this chance to walk away from darkness, then what hope does he have? It even says humans truly are so very fascinating, as if Hisoka's display of tenacity to surmount his impending death is both despicable but so endearing. There is this separation between Chrollo and all of humanity, which stems from the separation between Chrollo and himself. And it's through other people he wants to find what he has lost and can no longer view about himself. Now in chapter 356, after Chrollo thinks he kills Hisoka because honestly he blew him to smithereens, Hisoka somehow, through pure nen mastery and malice, uses bungee gum to restart his heart and lungs. And because nen gets stronger after death, Hisoka comes back even more powerful. And after sticking Machi to the floor, he goes and kills Cortopi and Shaunark in 357, leaving them in gruesome states, one in a bathroom, utterly disrespectful, and the other left outside on a swing like a forgotten child being picked apart by crows. When we cut to 366, we see Chrollo and the Black Whale looking sorrowful, and this drunk man even comments saying, "You look awful," and he says, "Do I? You look ready to kill someone," saying that he's probably gone through a lot to end up here on this boat. And he says he should just forget about all his worldly ties, saying that it's hard, isn't it? Ties are not forgotten, they're severed. I love that Tokashi displays Chrollo's humanity in the moments when the troop members die. He drops the stoic demeanor, he drops the all-in-control Phantom Troop leader, and he just becomes Chrollo Lucifer, a man who's afraid to lose his own family, who's afraid to end up all alone in this world with no one that he can even love. Because if he can't love himself, he can at least love the people who chose to stick by him. And to watch them severed one by one is more painful than even death itself for him. When we cut to chapter 406, Chrollo reveals that he needs to cock in sacred treasures to get a powerful enough nin ability to kill Ahsoka, meaning that he added another condition to Skill Hunter to make it even more powerful. And as Togashi pulls us deeper into his head, balancing these two goals is difficult for him. Patience for trying to steal national treasure, but also his desire to get Hisoka's head. And by enacting this plan by himself, he takes the risk of encountering Hisoka before he is ready. But he says the alternative plan is already in place, and the spider will survive, even if I die, because that is the fearsome spider that I designed. In chapter 395, we are introduced to the young Phantom Troop. Chrollo, with Shaunark and Franklin, are stealing a videotape from Uvo and a young Machi, showing that they all knew each other, but they weren't the tight-knit troop they are yet currently. Now, when Finks threatens Chrollo for the tape, he happily hands him a dummy, highlighting Chrollo's intelligence at such a young age despite his inability to fight. Now, information is important in Median City because it is a vicious place, one in which kids are mainly abducted because no citizen here exists in the eyes of the world, and most casualties were for kids under 15. And as we cut to Chrollo walking into this church, I believe, there's this black panel hinting at the rules that I think the Phantom Troop live by. As the partnership unfolded, Meteor City's elders developed Nen powers, and the law of retribution was established. Only life can pay for life. We'll accept anything you leave here, but don't ever take anything away from us. And I think these two lines encapsulate Chrollo's entire life for the Phantom Troop. He'll accept anything done to him, done to his plans, done to his goals. You can do whatever you want to Chrollo, but don't ever take anything away from him, because as they say, only life can pay for life. If a member of the troop dies, everyone in the vicinity is at risk of being slaughtered. Now, as Chrollo goes deeper into this church, I believe it is, we meet a young Pakunodo, and they watch a tape about the cleaning rangers, but it's in a different language. Now, Paku suggests that everyone should be able to watch it, but Chrollo suggests dubbing it so everyone could understand, even writing the script himself, highlighting how he always put the lives of other people in Meteor City first, despite his harsh upbringing. He was this blooming flower of joy in the poisoning bed that was the city. It's also funny that despite being older, everybody calls him Little Bro because of his small stature, which angers him. And I like this innocence and normal behavior Togashi gave to this young version of Chrollo, despite his circumstances. And when Paku reads his mind saying she'll bring their other female friends to be the female rangers, Chrollo's overjoyed and says he loves her, which to me probably was the initial spark of her intense devotion and probably love towards Chrollo, and why she laid her life down so easily when it came to saving him. And now we have this panel of this black van, and in it, you can imagine are children under 15, tied up, bagged, and being taken away, and right beneath it, Chrollo and his friends happily dubbing to the cleaning rangers. A beautiful use of dark Contrast by Togashi. Now, the screening party goes off amazingly, but there is an error in the tape in which the audio cut out, and Chrollo took it upon himself to hop on stage and entertain the crowd, doing funny faces and different voices, and it's incredible to me how much Chrollo cared for the well-being of the people he barely knew, and I think it's because he realized how little happiness is in Meteor City. Everyone accepts them as trash, their lives are worthless. That doesn't mean they can't make something beautiful out of it. Now when the tape resumes, his friends hop on stage and help him perform. But we have a very interesting panel here. When Chrollo performs the voice of the villain, we get this manic face, this intensity that shocks not only the kids in the audience, but the rest of the future Phantom troupe. And I think Togashi wanted to highlight his natural ability to be a leader and in command, but also his natural affinity to be a villain. This performance even earns him the respect of Ubo, who initially saw Chrollo as just a little shit that was just he wanted to mess with. And from this success, they plan to do even bigger dubs and discuss that they will need more people and decide that they should call themselves the Troupe to be more professional, which is funny how this name that they end up being called by came from them just wanting to do essentially Broadway shows for other kids. I love Togashi's symbolism and twisting innocent childlike things into more dark and murderous states. It's a very great way of writing. And what's even funnier is how Uvo told Chrollo he wanted to perform everywhere so he can become the world's greatest villain, which he ultimately ended up becoming the world's greatest villain, not only from his past with the troupe, but also his impact on York New City and the destruction his death ended up causing. But the happy times come to an end when Sarasa goes missing before their next performance. And since she's a part of the troupe, they can't start without her. And now Togashi, being a master of contrast as he is, has this panel of child kidnappers right below Sarasa walking happily in this pile of garbage, as she went to find more tapes that they could dub for future videos. And we see these kidnappers say, security is getting tighter, yeah, but we've already hit our quota. Paying the government won't be a problem, let's just catch one more for fun. We can cut loose and enjoy a good old Meteor City hunt. And as they fail to find Sarasa when it's time to perform, Chrollo gets on stage and takes responsibility for letting her go home alone when child abduction is so rampant in the city. And with his heartfelt speech, everyone in the crowd comes together to go look for her and bring tears to his eyes. It's amazing how as a young child, he could bring these people and these kids together with just his presence and ideas, a feat that would be magnified with the infamy of the Phantom Troupe. After they search for hours, Uvo finds a necklace that Sarasa wore on the outskirts of the forest. And these next few panels, in my opinion, are the most chilling and terrifying in all of Hunter x Hunter. As they arrive to this forest, we see a bag hanging from a tree, and on said tree is a note that is stabbed to it. Now Uvo says someone needs to check, and Chrollo says he'll do it. And the dread sets into their bones when they all realize what this means. As Chrollo asks Uvo to cut the bag loose, he catches it and his knees nearly buckle, hinting at the weight of this sack. And as he opens the bag, he sees Sarasa's head and her body parts surrounding it like a disassembled doll. As everyone asks, it's Sarasa, isn't it? Uvo asks Chrollo, what's on this paper? And he says, I won't say it. And that shook me to my soul. Because that means what was on this is so heinous, he will not even repeat it. And since Uvo can't read, Chrollo's the only one who can tell him what it says. And he threatens him, don't mess with me. What did those murderous bastards write? And Chrollo repeats, I won't say it. I will take those words to my grave. First off, the absolute conviction from this man at such a young age is terrifying. In the face of this immense horror, being the one to open the bag and see her dismembered body face first and still have the mental strength to not even want to tell the rest, to not even have them suffer what he just read. Insanity. It's made him one of my most favorite antagonists in the story, and I love that Togashi went so much deeper into his character with his backstory. Now Uvo tosses Chrollo aside, and Machi clutches the bag, saying that they should bring her back and hold a proper funeral, and all of them crying, enraged, and deeply scarred, carry back the dismembered body of their childhood friend. The next day, we find Sarasa's body completely healed, thanks to the nen of a woman named Renko, who has this sort of nen technique to do this, so that they can give a proper funeral for her. As we see them looking at her grave, Chrollo asks Uvo if he can wait 3 years for him. Now Uvo, being the stubborn man he is, says, "I ain't waiting for nothing, I'm gonna avenge her." But Chrollo tells him that going now is pointless, and he promised he'd travel the world with him. Now Uvo, immediately not understanding what he means, says that 3 years won't change a thing, but Chrollo says it will. And here is where we really highlight how intelligent Chrollo truthfully was. He says we're on the cusp of a communications revolution. Once the infrastructure is in place, people around the world will be able to connect at the speed of light. How he knows this, I have no freaking clue, but he's cooking. And people's information will be available for all the world to see. It'll be a major shift. Now, Uvo doesn't understand this, and Chrollo responds, "I'm sure the killers recorded what they did." That crime scene was orchestrated to convey a message. It was like our play. And those cigarette butts we were standing on was probably the spot they filmed it. If these people had a way to showcase their art, there's no way they could resist. But even in a world of such communication, there will be regulations. So they will look for loopholes. Evil always lurks in darkness. And this new environment will be no different. But the difference is, they will create the loopholes. Meteor City will become the safe haven for criminals to pass through. And now, of course, the troop, always following behind Chrollo, has Shalnar come out and say he wants to use this new technology to create a hideout for baddies so we can find what we're looking for, making Uvo instantly get it through his big, dumb, muscle-bound brain. And everyone agrees to help him. They will create a home for darkness, and he tells them, "We need to offer up our lives. After these 3 years, I will kill many people." Sarasa definitely wouldn't want that. So if I see Sarasa again someday somewhere, I will beg for forgiveness. However, I will not forgive those killers for as long as I live. Given our current legal system, I can't imagine seeing criminals like that actually repenting for what they did. He goes on to say, "I'll live the rest of my life as a villain who will make the world tremble with fear. Those thugs won't come to Meteor City ever again once I'm done with this place." Then, which I find most surprising, is he asks Uvo to join as their leader. But of course, because who wouldn't, Uvo makes Chrollo the leader and says with everyone he'll follow him until he dies. And from that point, the Phantom Troop, Chrollo Lucifer, and the Spider were born. When you think about it, Chrollo never left the day in the forest holding Sarasa's body, smelling the blood of her dismembered limbs in the wet sack holding her together. The images of her ripped apart and shoved in like garbage burrowed its way into his mind, infesting every inch of it till it strangled what little innocence he had left like an execution. He desires revenge, which he knows she wouldn't want. And that's why he would beg for her forgiveness. And then when he told the troop to offer up their lives, he took this the most literally. His happiness, smiles, hope, love, childness, all were cut up and thrown in a sack to make a man capable of leading Meteor City, of making a place capable of being home to all villains, so he could find the killers who brutally murdered his friend. His view of humanity twisted somewhat of darkness that day. After so many jobs killing and taking from people, Chrollo saw other humans besides the troop as worthless, so that life itself was worthless. How can you have hope when you become a home for all that's evil in the world? How can you find happiness when you dedicate your life to murder, stealing, and brutality? Chrollo was a martyr for the Phantom Troop, a martyr for Meteor City, and a man who lost the innocent child that just wanted to make the kids of Meteor City smile. He is a nihilist who walks with death every day and accepts his own life as nothing but a tool for the spider he designed. And the tragedy is that he doesn't realize how loved he is by the troop, how his life is more important to them than their own. A man whose evil is in martyrdom and nothingness. A lost man who never left the prison of reading how his friend was toyed with, tortured, and hung up like a present for him to find.